Hey, jumping in on the whole Maher Affleck thing. I watch Bill Maher. I record his show. It's like the only show that I record on my DVR. But there's always been departures between him and I. But I enjoy the dialogue on that show. I really do. So I watch it. Um, Ben Affleck, frankly, I don't know much about him. I haven't seen much of his work, believe it or not. I know, his public persona as much as I follow that, but from what I've seen, he seems like a reasonably intelligent guy. Sam Harris, I don't know his work. I just recently heard about him, so I wasn't sure where to place him. I have been an atheist since I was 13. I think I first publicly declared it in 1974. Upstate New York, white collar college town, small. It was kind of unusual, people were really shocked by it. I remember several occasions they just didn't believe it. So I didn't feel like it was appropriate, and it certainly made me feel outcast. And I was still devout and public, though, and if anyone ever asked, I said atheist. And sometimes there were moments I chose to pick some battles, and one of them was my senior year in high school. I wrote a paper and handed it in. Mrs. Lanyon, I think her name was, English class, and she handed it back to me, and with noting that I hadn't capitalized God in the paper, and said I just needed to fix that, and she would give me the A. And I was like, you're missing the whole point of my paper, which was that God is just another construct, and there's been several of those constructs, and just to capitalize this one when you're referring to Christian God only, elevates that God inappropriately. 2 days later, a priest shows up, and she announces that we're going to debate the existence of God in class. And this is Mrs. Lanyon. And we arranged our desks in a circle. Normally they're in rows, but put them in a circle, and the debate began. She looked at me, and it was apparent, it was clear to me anyways, that this was intended for me. She had really been one of those people who was shocked by my belief when she handed me that paper and I handed it back to her and said I wasn't going to make those corrections. Her response was, "You poor soul." And so here we were, saving my soul. The priest spoke, and next thing you know, a couple students spoke up. They had some serious questions about the tenets of Christianity, and the priest handled them. It was pretty standard fare type of, if God can do anything, can he build a rock that he can't lift, and stuff like that. And the priest deflected, did his job, learned his rhetoric well, and got kind of heated, though. So there were some people who really felt strongly in both directions. Why were we even questioning this? And other people speaking up saying, yeah, I don't understand it either. I don't believe, or whatever. And about halfway through, Mrs. Lanyon and I kind of exchanged glances, and she knew that I wasn't going to say anything. I don't know, I wanted to say something. It seemed like some points were being missed, but it felt like it had served its purpose, It was a step for there to be an open debate about it in that particular 1974 upstate New York circumstance. Just to talk about it was a step, and I was satisfied with that. I didn't think anything needed to be resolved at that point. It was just good that we had had a discussion, and maybe that had opened some eyes, and not the priests or even Mrs. Lanyon, but some students for sure, and that was what it was all about, baby steps. So I saw the Maher clip, and I disagreed with everybody and agreed with everybody. It was a good debate. I really kind of thought Bill Maher was out of his element. There were some intelligent people, Ben Affleck. Yeah, so they had, both sides that had kind of weak arguments but good passion, which I certainly respect. And so that was my point, was that people were passionate about this on both sides, and they made their points, and it was good dialogue. And the fact that we even talked about it, I think, was the point of it all, and a great thing. And kudos to all parties involved. Nothing was resolved, but certainly it's incited some dialogue, and that's awesome as far as I'm